Kewl V1C, you're being invited to speak. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How are you doing? How are you doing, 1stAmender?
Good, good. I can't complain. What did you want to talk about exactly? I know you had a claim that you wanted to uh, bring up, or if it was just a general topic, we could talk about the general topic.
I mean, it could be the general topic. It's I guess it all stems from one question I have because I've seen your debates when you've debated transgenderism, and you use the argument about the brain patterns, right? And about how the brain patterns, if I'm understanding correctly, they're very. So let's say I'm a man and I'm showing the brain patterns that are very similar to a woman. That will make me then believe I'm a woman, right? And then that therefore my gender would be a female. Is that your argument?
More accurately, to put it into like a colloquial way, specifically how I would approach it is, think about it like if you're like a 14-year-old boy and you are just now going through puberty, and you're expecting, okay, well, I'm going to become a man, I'm going to become bigger and stronger. And so what ends up happening is you for whatever reason, uh the world has played a cruel trick on you. Nature or God or whatever you want to choose has played a cruel trick on you, and you have gynecomastia, which means that throughout puberty you are going to grow breasts.
Okay.
Right. And there's like this internal feeling where you're just like, that isn't right. I shouldn't grow breasts. I'm a boy. Right. That internal feeling, that's gender. That's what I'm talking about. There's an internal feeling that is incongruent with what is happening with your external body.
Okay. So yeah. So pretty much if in your head you suffer from this where you believe you're the opposite sex, then pretty much if you believe it in your head, like if you're suffering from this, then you're gender wise, you're the gender which you identify in your head.
Yes, and I do believe that the thing in your head has a basis in your hormones as well as your neurobiology.
Okay.
Because they had tested on people who are transgender. There are some mega analytic findings that confirm that trans people, I think it was over 98%, possessed these differences in brain character in the brain.
Okay, so basically, are you kind of like so would you say we should kind of just ignore sex entirely and just go purely on gender?
If we're talking about transgender individuals, you kind of have to imply sex as a concept, because what transgender just means is that your sex doesn't match your gender. That's what it means.
Yeah, I know, but it kind of sounds like what you're saying is what you have going on in your brain that kind of takes first priority over than what your sex is.
No, it's not that it is a priority. It's that both of these criteria need to exist in order to be that gender.
Wait, what do you mean?
In order to be trans.
Okay. But okay, so sorry. So explain that to me then.
Yeah. So your gender doesn't match your sex. That's what it means to be transgender.
Yeah, but which one?
Transgender is a gender.
Uh-huh.
And so in order to create that distinction of what transgender is, it's where their sex doesn't match their gender.
Okay, so wait a minute. Now I have a whole new question. You just said transgender is a gender. So are you saying there's male, female, and transgender?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes, there are male trans individuals and female trans individuals. Yes.
Okay. So the thing is like, yeah, you're saying there it's sex and gender, but it sounds like gender kind of takes priority though, because if let's say if my sex is I'm a male,
No.
but gender wise I'm a female, well then I just live my life as a female and bada bing bada boom.
Yeah, I mean that's that's a complicated preference, I suppose. I mean, that would be left up to the individual.
Okay, so here's the thing. Now, here's I guess my issue. Like one of the issues I have with it is that like, so you know, okay. I guess I should ask: do you think everyone that identifies as transgender, do you think they all suffer from gender dysphoria?
No.
Okay, so what other reasons would someone identify as transgender then?
Their gender doesn't match their sex.
Well, no, but isn't that gender dysphoria?
No.
Okay. So then what is it when their gender doesn't match their sex?
Gender dysphoria is the discomfort that somebody feels by not having the same sex as their gender. Not all trans people have this.
Okay, so then what is it called then when their gender just doesn't match their sex?
Transgender.
Okay, so transgenderism is different from gender dysphoria.
Yes.
Okay. So there's no other reason why a man would want to dress like a woman. It's only if they're just this third transgender, this third gender, or if they suffer from gender dysphoria.
Nah, it could be possible that they have that they get a kick out of it. It's
Okay.
possible.
Okay.
I mean, you're saying like it's why somebody would dress as a woman. I'm sure there's multiple there are cross dressers that are not transgender, for example.
Yeah, I agree with that. So that leads me to my next question is, well, how do you know? Like, how do you know if someone is not just dressing like a woman because
You have to take their word for it.
You just got to believe them?
Sorry, I'm interrupting you. I'm going to let you finish. Go ahead.
Okay. No, but I guess at least, so you're just going to just have to take their word for it, but don't you think that's potentially dangerous?
No.
You don't. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, I mean, I think it's like it's when there's all sorts of things that we just kind of take people's word for it and just kind of move on with it.
Well, I don't think it's as easy as just moving on from it. I have a scenario for you. Okay, let's say, because I'm sure you believe that. Well, okay, I'm never mind about that. Just let's say I'm a woman hating man, right? I'm mega and, I hate women. I just want to oppress them, tell them what to do, right? And I'm like, you know what? I'm tired of
MAGA,
MAGA.
Oh, MAGA. Gotcha.
Okay. And so let's say I'm like, it just really triggers me seeing women in sports. I'm like, nah, they need to be home in the kitchen. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to join women's sports and I am just going to just dominate them and really put them in their place. Do you think that you'll be putting some of these women in danger?
Sure.
Okay. So then you don't think that, so then do you still think you should just take people's words for it?
Yeah.
What? But don't you think you'd be putting some women in danger?
I just don't think that anybody is like who hates women is going to actively turn trans just to dominate women in sports. It doesn't seem to be feasible. Like you have to understand like what it means to be trans. Like what are the implications of being trans? Being trans includes very much likely ostracism from pretty much everybody. Your friends, your family, your social circles, your job, your job prospects. Everything gets put into question when you become trans. And if your hatred of women is so great that you are willing to throw out your entire life for it, there's probably something else going on. I just don't find that to be realistic, not even remotely. I operated within your hypothetical, but it's just not realistic.
Yeah, realistic. I mean, it's not. I'm not sure if it's realistic that someone could break into my house right now. Like, I don't think it'll happen, but that doesn't mean it can't happen. And even in my hypothetical, like, there could be a whole slew of other reasons why someone could just be pretend to be trans in order to infiltrate women's spaces. And the thing is, with your logic, is there's no way of discerning which ones are truly trans and which ones are just doing it because either they get off on it.
I mean, to be fair, a majority of spaces or of sexual assaults is between cis men and women. Like a cis man doesn't get stopped by going into a woman's bathroom. And a cis man, you know, they will take advantage of women's bathrooms. And a majority of the assaults are, in fact, cis men. So I'm a little like, in fact, there's very, very, very few instances of trans or self-described trans individuals abusing women. It's very much overwhelmingly, even if I imply capita, as in like I adjust for population, it's still overwhelmingly cis men. And honestly, to be fair with you, like it actually kind of makes sense because one thing that's really common in trans communities or trans women, they often are taking hormones or hormone blockers, which actually reduces the libido. It's so much so that they even ask their doctors, like, "Hey, can you give me my sex drive back? I just have no, very little sex drive." And yeah, I mean, just generally speaking, these lower libidos that just reduces any sexual tendencies. They're just not interested.
So again, the issue with that though is that you're assuming that there are no men. Yeah, let's say I'm like granting that I'm like, yeah, you know what, you're right. It is majority cisgender men and women. But the thing is that you don't think in order to get access to women's spaces that there's not going to be cisgender men that are going to pretend they're trans in order to infiltrate those spaces.
I think like if you're a cisgender man and you want to assault women, you don't need the existence of trans people as an excuse. You could just do it.
Yeah,
In
sure.
which case, like you go to jail and you get put in a box. And to be honest, a trans person does this, then same thing. You just take them and put them in a box. That why should this ruin the existence of all other trans people because there's people that abuse, you know, their privilege.
Yeah, but still, it doesn't make like why you make it easier though. That's the thing. It's like you're making it easier for like let's say like creep cisgender men in order to gain access to these spaces. And even if they're not even like full on essaying them or something in the bathroom, they could still go on and take pictures or put a little camera in there or something like that. Like they could do other things other than straight up essay.
Yeah, I mean that's still overwhelmingly cis men doing that,
I
not transgender individuals.
As I said, even if I granted you that, what I'm saying is that under your criteria, no way of telling who is an actual transgender person and someone who is just a cisgendered creep who wants access to these spaces. In your logic, you want to allow all of these people in there.
Yeah, so that way I mean they got to go to the bathroom, right?
No, I don't think you're understanding what I'm saying though. Okay, what if let's say I'm a creep,
Well,
right?
like, okay, I mean, I am understanding what you're saying. There are already restrictions of men going into women's bathrooms, yet cisgendered people still sexually assault women. So I don't see what exactly you're solving, number one. And then number two, uh, like you believe transgender people ought to be treated normally, right?
Yeah, sure.
Would you agree with that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So isn't it fair to say that there are public accommodations for, you know, bathroom usage and that people ought to be able to have access to that?
Well, no one's stopping them using the bathroom. No one's stopping them from going to the bathroom. It's just
Okay.
Using the one that you with their
Well,
the biological sex that you were born as.
well, I can ask. Did you know that a majority of trans people, the way that they answer is they try to avoid the situation entirely, hoping there's a unisex bathroom, or they just go to the bathroom at home and then just try not to use the bathroom anywhere. because there's instances where trans women are using the bathroom. If they use the women's, there are people that make a fuss about it. And then when they decide to use the men's, they also make a fuss about it because they pass too well, or like they're seen as like a freak.
Okay. So
it's like, I guess my question is like, I feel like they have a right to kind of go to the bathroom.
Yeah, they do have the right to go to the bathroom. If, like, listen, it must suck to, if you're someone.
So which bathroom do they go to?
Just to make it easy, the one that they're biologically born at, that matches their biological sex.
Okay.
Because the other way complicates
let's,
things.
I want to make sure you get this correct.
All right.
Give me a moment.
Okay. He's going to pull up a study, guys.
I'm going to share my screen real quick, and I'll also share the picture.
Pat Nid sharing the screen.
Inside chat. Where is my Chrome? Sorry, just give me a moment. Early streaming troubles.
No worries.
All right, so I just want to be clear. This woman should go to the men's.
Is that a man? A biological man?
Yeah.
That's a biological man?
Yep.
Then yeah.
I just want to be clear. We want to ensure that they go to the men's, right? Because they're a biological man.
Yeah. Because the alternative, I think, is worse than just...
Let's try the next one. Let's try the next one. All right. Let me copy this image.
Maybe we should make a game. What bathroom do they have to go to?
And what about this one? This is a trans man. So women's?
Yeah, women's.
Okay.
Well,
and you don't find anything unreasonable about this?
Well, before I might have found something unreasonable, but the thing is that now that if you want to allow anybody, as long as they just identify as a woman, into the women's bathroom, then yeah, I think that this is the much better option than the other.
Well, I mean, my position makes sense in the sense that you go to the bathroom
according to who
feel most comfortable in, and don't bother people who just need to go to the bathroom. They're just going to the bathroom. They're not going to sexually assault anybody. You just let them go to the bathroom. Yeah. And like, for whatever reason, I mean, I'm sorry, this trans woman is not going to feel comfortable going to the men's bathroom. And this trans man is not going to feel comfortable going to the women's bathroom. And to be honest, like, if you had to be honest with yourselves, you would not clock this person as being a woman, and you would not clock this person as being a man.
Yeah,
you just wouldn't, right?
Yeah, for first glance, I wouldn't.
Okay, so like, I don't see what harm is there in them going to their the bathroom of their gender identity.
Yeah,
they're just using the bathroom.
Yeah, so I know you don't see the harm in these people. And again, if you would have asked me, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, and I would have said the same thing. However, the alternative, I think, is more harmful, because you could be putting women and girls in danger. And so to me, I'm like, well, I'd rather... Huh?
I've already debunked this.
No, you did not. You just said you debunked. You did not.
That overwhelmingly.
You actually never answered my concerns. You just said, well, you didn't really answer my concerns that what if cisgender men pretend to be trans in order to gain access? You never said that. You just said, oh, it wouldn't happen. But says who? You?
No, it says, like, I'm saying that the actual mechanics of being trans is very, very, very difficult. It is so much so that someone would likely never do that. Like how do I present like a decent analogy here? I'm trying to think of a good analogy. I'm trying to think of something that is so overbearing to do that you have to go through all sorts of different hoops and exercises.
He's still not getting
in
it, chat.
reality, just doing the action that you want to do would be a lot easier. I just don't see how a trans man is going to, or I'm sorry, a person who is not trans want to take advantage of women by becoming trans. Like, what kind of like weird, there it is. What kind of weird Wile E. Coyote level of like gymnastics that you have to go through when, let's be honest, I feel like you don't have to be trans to sexually assault people. You could just go into the women's bathroom and sexually assault people if that's your goal. You don't need to uproot your entire life to do so.
You don't have to uproot your entire life. Do you think in order for a cisgender man to gain access to women's restrooms, they actually need to go through like HRT treatment and live every single day as a woman in order to do that? No, they could, under your logic, they could just put on a dress and a wig and makeup and be like, hey guys, I identify as a woman, and you would see no problem with them using the women's bathroom. Or
just go into the bathroom. They don't even need to wear the makeup or do any of that. They could just go in.
Oh, okay.
There's no guard standing at the bathroom. Like, again, you're like thinking of this bizarre, like
bizarre.
It's I mean, I don't mean to, it is bizarre because it's like,
it's bizarre according to you.
It's like a weird kind of like Looney Tunes, Wile E. Coyote like situation of like, it's like very elaborate. Whereas like they could just go into the bathroom and just sexually assault women. Like, you don't need to wear a wig to do that.
Yeah, 1stAmender. Here's the thing, though. If I just go in dressed as myself, just as a man, and I go into the women's restroom, someone's going to see me and be like, hey, there's a freaking man in the restroom. We got to get him out of here and arrest him, right? But if I were a dress and a wig or whatever like that and put on makeup, well, all of a sudden now I could just be like, no, guys, I'm trans. Like, you're oppressing me if you don't let me use the restroom. And then they have people like you that'll be like, hey, let him go. Let him use the restroom, or let her use the restroom, I should say. You don't see the difference there? You don't see how they could have easier access if they wear the dress?
I mean, yeah. I mean, if there's a person that would do that, I agree with you. Put them in a box. Why can't trans people use a bathroom?
I just explained it to you. How come you keep going to that question?
Well, because I just told you, like, there are lots of people that would commit ill, and I agree with you. There are people that would trick people and commit ill. So what we do as a society is that those that commit ill, we take them and put them in a box.
Yeah.
And mind you, even if you got rid of this law, like regarding like, oh, trans people have to use their biologically assigned, they could still sexually assault women, and the end result would be the same.
Yeah, but why make it easier? If you do this, you're making it easier. The point is to try to make
see how it's easier.
I just explained it to you.
Same amount of effort. It's walking into a bathroom, wig and makeup, and then sexually assaulting a woman. Now there's a law that says no men in wigs and makeup in bathroom. Okay, they go into the bathroom anyway, wig and makeup, and then they sexually assault women. I don't see how it's going to prevent or make things harder.
Well, yeah, because there's going to be people like you defending them and being like, hey, leave that trans person alone. Just let them use the restroom. And then the woman that got assaulted or something could be like, no, they assaulted me. And you could be sitting there being like, oh, yeah, what? You're just making up lies. You're just being transphobic. And it gives the cisgender man pretending to be a woman a plausible deniability.
I didn't say anything regarding you being transphobic. It just sounded like you were just asking questions.
No,
and
I didn't say that you said I was transphobic.
Is that it sounded like that.
I didn't say that you said that I did.
Say that you were.
Okay, so let me repeat. Let me repeat.
I didn't say that.
So let me repeat what I said. Maybe I didn't make it clear. So let's say a cisgender man dresses like a woman to enter the restroom. SA's a woman in there, right? And then the woman comes out and says, "Hey, this person just SA'd me." But then since there's only both of them in there, they could have people like you that are like, "Hey, that woman's just being transphobic." Being transphobic against this trans woman, and I don't believe this woman. It gives the cisgender person pretending to be a woman plausible deniability. Was that clear?
I'm a little lost. Like if somebody had gotten sexually assaulted, typically what you would do in that situation is there you use an R kit and you perform an investigation.
What if it
right? And that you would obviously see cameras outside the bathroom. So I'm still lost. Like just because that I'm in favor of trans people wouldn't
He's still
result
lost,
in
guys.
this
He's
thing
still
that you're
lost. He doesn't
talking
get it.
about. It just seems kind of weird to me.
Well, first of all, cameras outside the bathroom aren't the same as cameras in the bathroom. So you would still have the whole like he said, she said thing going on. So there's that.
Do you think that there should be cameras in the bathroom?
No, I am not saying that. I'm just saying that you are the one that brought up that saying, well, there's cameras. And I'm just pointing out, well, they're not in the bathroom. So that doesn't really...
I'm saying like there's ways, the cameras is irrelevant, right? All I'm saying is that there are ways to determine if somebody had been SA'd in the bathroom. And it doesn't matter if they're trans or not trans. If they're sexually assaulting people, we put them in a box. What's wrong with that? Now trans people can use the bathroom. What's the problem?
Well, because there are people like you that are going to give them that plausible deniability, that whole benefit of a doubt, like, oh, well, I think that woman is just being transphobic. They're just hating because this person wants to use the restroom. That's the whole issue there.
Do you believe in innocence before proven guilty in a court of law?
Okay, well, 1stAmender, if I were to go into the women's restroom dressed as myself...
Can you just say yes or no to that? Do you believe in innocence until proven guilty in a court of law?
Well, yes, I do. Now, let me go back to my point. So if I were to go in there dressed as myself...
then the trans person would be innocent before proven guilty in a court of law. It is irrelevant as to whether or not that they're trans. So like I
still don't see how that connects to the point at all.
Already, it does, because the plausible deniability exists in both you and I.
Okay, so let me get back to my point. So if I were to go in there, 1stAmender, dressed as myself, just as myself, into the women's restroom, and then a woman comes out and says, oh my gosh, that guy just, SA'd me, what would you say to that then?
Mm-hmm. Well, there's usually an investigation that would happen.
No, what would you say? Not what would happen. What would you say? Like, what would your first opinion be?
Me? I would, like, my opinion, like, I don't know. I don't know
like
what
your knee-jerk reaction. She comes out crying, hey,
oh my God,
just
that's horrible.
me.
And then I'd walk away.
No, but your knee-jerk reaction.
I would go, oh my God, that's horrible.
Would you be?
I would walk away.
Okay, but would you be more?
That's my knee-jerk reaction. I just gave it to you.
Would you be more likely to believe the woman in that scenario, or would you really just be like, well, I don't know, we're just going to let the court settle it?
I like the court settle it. I assume innocence before proven guilty.
So you wouldn't be more likely to believe the woman. Like, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, obviously let the courts do their thing, but I just mean, your opinion, though,
fair, right? Like,
your opinion.
Yeah,
though.
I mean, I don't know what you think I am. Like just some like crazy SJW leftist that thinks like all men should die or whatever. Like I'm not saying
that.
The arguments. I know you're not. I'm saying like that the arguments that
you muted. You're mute. I can't hear you. Okay.
The woman would have crimes coming up against them for slander or whatever law is there.
Okay. Sorry, but I'm gonna have to ask you to repeat that because you muted for most of that.
I did?
Yeah, you were mute for like most of that. I only heard that last sentence.
Daniel, what happened? Did I muted?
Yeah, I couldn't hear you either. I didn't know if it was just me or it was you, but yeah.
Mike, I gotta fix this cable. Okay, so let's say, for example, that I mean, if I had to make operate under the assumption that what I would say is, okay, well, if the man essayed the woman, then I hope that they get what's coming to them, and if the woman is lying, and the man is perfectly innocent, then I hope that crimes get pushed onto the woman, like slander or something, because that's obviously a very serious, a very serious accusation that can result in a great deal of reputational loss.
Okay, great. Yeah, I completely agree with that. I guess what I'm trying to get a sense
Cool.
of.
So can trans people use the bathroom?
No, I just said, well, they could use the bathroom, but not the one that they identified out with gender wise. I don't know what's so funny.
You don't think that there's going to be anybody looking at the person, the two people that I showed, that they're not going to be like, what the heck? Why is this person in the wrong bathroom? I'm sorry. They're going to look at that man,
so
the transgender man, and they're going to look at that man and go, you're in the wrong bathroom. And the trans woman, and they're going in that, you're going to the wrong bathroom.
So,
we could use I think that there's a level of intuitive logic that
what do you think about this, guys?
Utilizing, and instead going by like a very rigid, it must be this way.
If you guys are enjoying this so far,
for whatever
feel
reason,
free to send a super
chat. Sympathize
greatly appreciate
with
it.
These people. Let's go back to the gynecomastia thing. Let's say, for example, you are growing breasts, and the boys, they're picking on you, saying, you don't look like a man. You don't belong in here. Go to the woman's bathroom. Wouldn't you feel awful?
Yeah, just like I'm sure if there's a little girl in the restroom and some guy in a dress goes and essays her, I'm sure that little girl would feel awful too. And her parents, it would be awful.
Well, but you understand that, that doesn't really answer my hypothetical, right? Like,
I said it would be awful, but I think it'd be more awful.
I'm saying put yourself in the perspective of the trans person.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it would be awful to have that, to suffer from that, and to be really conflicted about using the restroom. I completely empathize with that. But what about you? Do you empathize with a young girl or women that don't feel safe in restrooms, or could potentially be assaulted or get assaulted by people pretending to be trans?
Yeah, well, there are numerous Pew research that actually shows that a majority of women don't actually care about this topic.
Really?
It's usually mostly people who are just, yes, that's correct. A majority do not care. It's not a concern. Just use the bathroom. It's fine.
Well, what about the people who have been victims of this?
Right, because a majority, they already know that a majority of essays is not trans women.
Yes, even if I grant you that majority is not of trans women, what about cisgender men that are pretending to be trans?
All right, great, but I just don't see this giant amount of cisgender men doing that, and also they're going to do that anyway if they want to sexually assault women. They don't have to do a weird Looney Tunes thing; they could just walk in.
I don't know why you keep thinking it's a weird Looney Tunes thing. Like if it's so impossible, like, oh my God, that could never happen.
You got to put on a costume to go into the women's bathroom. No, you could just walk in. Have you ever mistakenly used the women's bathroom before?
So a man putting on a dress now is putting on a costume?
Has that ever happened to you?
I just asked, wait a minute. So a man putting on a woman's dress is a costume now.
What I just said.
It's a costume now. That's fascinating.
Please stop pivoting.
No, you said that. That's interesting. Pivoting. You said a man putting on a dress is a costume.
Let's try it one more time. We're gonna try it one more time. So, crap. Now you made me lose my train of thought.
I'll get you back on track. You said a man putting on a dress is a costume.
No, that isn't what I was getting to.
But you said that. This is interesting because you're pro-trans.
Engage with you here.
But you're someone who's pro-transgenderism.
Yeah. So if a person is cisgendered, and their purpose of putting on a dress specifically to trick women and sexually assault women is putting on a costume. Yes. But I do not consider this to be analogous to being a trans woman, because their gender doesn't match their sex, and they would like their external features to match that. So it's not necessary. It's more than just a costume. It's a very way of life.
So if I
so no, not the same thing.
Okay. So if I were to believe, if I got hit on the head or something and I believed I was Abraham Lincoln and I wore Abraham Lincoln outfits and stuff, you wouldn't consider that like a costume or anything?
If a person was dressed as Abraham Lincoln
and they believed
such an
it.
Odd,
you can't just call things odd because you can't think of arguments. You can't just call things odd or weird because you can't think of good arguments for it.
I'm trying to kind of wrap my head around it. I'm thinking
it's not that hard.
Like, I mean, it's like, it comes down into like a philosophic, like what I consider to be I don't really think it's all that relevant. Like whether or not something is a costume versus not a costume. This doesn't really revoke any of my argument regarding the existence of trans people and that we ought treat trans people like human beings, and they ought to be able to use the bathroom. And honestly, like if they just need to use the bathroom, just let them use the bathroom. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, they could use
if
the
anybody
bathroom.
Sexually assaults another individual, it doesn't matter, trans, not trans, we just take them and put them in a box. That to me seems to be the most logical way of going about it, not like this kind of weird, culture war, pro-trans, anti-trans position. I'm simply saying, let's just, use our brains here and say, hey, let's let them use the bathroom that they feel comfortable in going to. It shouldn't be a big deal.
Well, yeah, but you're putting people in danger, because if someone wants to pretend they're trans, they could just do that. I know with you, I know you keep saying that, but it's possible. And I think
I'm not. No. So the only thing that you've been able to present in terms of putting people in danger is a hypothetical.
So it's never.
So like I can present you a hypothetical that, well, cool. If I said to you that, let's say that you're a serial killer and you are killing tons and tons of women in the basement and chopping their bodies apart. Why would you do that?
Well, because I was a serial killer.
It's silly, right? It's a hypothetical. It's not reality.
And that
right? You're not actually putting women in danger. What you're doing is you're looking at a hypothetical, and then on the basis of the non-existent hypothetical, creating outrage from the non-existent hypothetical. And so going back into reality, women are not in danger by sharing the bathroom with trans women, and trans men are not in danger to other men using the bathroom.
Okay, well, going back to your hypothetical, I could engage with the hypothetical. I mean, if I were a serial killer killing women, it's because I was a crazy lunatic serial killer, and that's why I would be doing that, because I'm a sociopath and a psychopath.
I'm saying,
I know, but I'm going backwards.
You're not understanding my argument.
So anyway, if
you're not understanding my argument, the whole point that I brought that argument up, was because you basically were saying that you're putting women in danger. That's what you told me. I'm not putting women in danger. You operated a flabbergasting hypothetical and extrapolated that into me actually saying that women are put in danger, when in reality, women are not put in danger.
Says you.
What? No, not says me, says statistics. I mean, if you want, I can bring you up studies that show sexual assault and how it's overwhelmingly cis men. And mathematically, even if we include the very tiny minority of trans people, it still is mostly cis men. Like, I've sat there and I've done the math on this. I mean, if you really want, for the next 20 minutes, we can go over a systematic analysis on how it's not trans women assaulting women in bathrooms.
So you keep bringing up trans women. I keep saying cisgender men who are pretending to be trans to gain access into these places, which you keep saying.
Okay, that's a hypothetical. That's not reality.
So it's never happened.
Yeah, it is a wacky hypothetical. No one does this. I didn't say it doesn't. It never happened.
0%.
I'm saying no, 0%. Like pretty much nobody does this.
Never happened. 0%.
Yeah, it would pretty much be zero. Yes, it's
pretty much.
Yes, it would be in the 0% category. That's correct.
It would be 0%.
It would be in zero. Yeah, it would be 0%.
Really?
That's correct.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. Well, it's 0% that a trans person.
Yeah, like if something is 0.00017%, that's still 0%. Yes.
Okay, First Amender. What do you think the chances are someone's going to break into your house right now?
0%.
Okay, so if I were to say, okay, First Amender,
Very low.
it's pretty much low that someone's going to break in your house. Someone's going to break in your house. Would you leave your front?
Negligible.
Okay, let me finish. If I were to tell you, okay, First Amender, it's very low that someone's going to break in your house, so therefore you should just leave your front door wide open.
No.
Why?
Oh, because it's smart to take necessary precautions.
Oh, really? It's smart to.
It doesn't impede on anybody's liberties.
It doesn't impede if any. What if it's someone's at liberty to want to take your stuff? That we don't think you're impeding on their liberties.
Me locking my door isn't revoking anybody's liberties, right? Like they don't have a right to my house. So it's not really impeding on your ability to live your life.
A trans woman doesn't have a right to the woman's bathroom.
But they do.
Says who?
You already said that people have a right to the public restroom.
Yes.
And I guess the only thing that we disagree with is what restroom they're allowed to use. And I mean, I'm glad that you bit the bullet on like looking at this very clearly. Like if you just looked at them, they would be a man. They're supposed to go to the woman's restroom. And if they're a woman, they're supposed to go to the man's restroom.
Yeah. So another thing is like keeping your door closed and locked. Would it also be out of keeping you safe?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
So the whole reason why someone would want to lock their front door and not leave it wide open was because that would be smarter to take precautions like that because it helps keep you safe. Correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
So how come that logic doesn't apply with bathrooms and women and girls?
Because you're not being going to be essayed likely from a trans person. In fact, it would be a cis man that would do that.
You keep saying that, and
the end result is that just would take away the liberties of people from being able to access the restroom if they need it.
Well, no one's saying restrict them from the public restroom, though.
Let me ask you another question. Like, let's say, like, you know, one thing that happened, I went to a cigar lounge, right? And if you've ever been to a cigar lounge, it's mostly men. You know, many women don't really show up at a cigar lounge. And I'm standing there at the men's bathroom. And they were just like, I was waiting in line. And somebody came up to me. They said, "Why are you waiting?" I was just like, "I'm waiting to use the men's bathroom." I said, "You can use the women's. No one's going to use it. It's all right." And so then I just used the women's.
Okay.
What's the big deal?
What's the big deal? So pretty much there should be no gendered bathrooms. And you just think anyone should, bathroom. You should just think anyone should just be allowed to use
I'm not
whatever
necessarily against having
what was the point of that story? I mean, then what was the point of that story?
Well, I'm just saying it's not a big deal. That's all I'm trying to tell you. Like you're making it into a big deal when in reality, it's not a big deal. It's just let people use the bathroom that they feel comfortable in going. It's not a big deal.
You just say it's not a big deal.
Things don't matter. There's much more important things. Like we could talk about, you know, what's going on regarding the erosion of the middle class. We can talk about, you know, birth crisis.
What do you guys think about this so far?
The environment and how it's being destroyed.
He's being disingenuous, don't you think?
You know, I just don't see.
No, he's bringing up other shit.
Why is it such a big deal?
To obfuscate that he doesn't have any good arguments.
If someone just wants to use the bathroom. Like it's like the least important thing on my mind. Like I don't think about it anywhere close to as often as a lot of Republicans that I talk to. I'm not saying you're a Republican, but I'm saying that a majority of like right wingers, they obsess about this, and I just don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, I don't know how it doesn't make any sense. Because see, listen, here's the thing, 1stAmender. I could actually understand where you're coming from. You're really empathizing with the trans person that actually that looks like a woman and stuff like that, and you think they should be able to use the bathroom that they feel comfortable using, that they identify with, because you don't think that they should be scared. You don't think they should be harassed. You just want them to comfortably be able to use the restroom. Am I correct?
Yeah, just be able to exist in society without harassment. Yeah.
Okay, now see how I
Kind
could
of like it's assumed for men and women. Yeah.
Okay, so now how see how I, even though I don't agree with that argument, see how I could at least understand where you're coming from and not just go, "Land, you're so weird." Like, I just don't get it. Like, you honestly don't see the concerns that we have.
I see the concern. I just don't understand the obsession, I guess.
Well, because we don't want innocent women and girls to get hurt. Much like how you're
Unless,
concerned,
of course, if there's a baby involved.
much like, okay, well, we could talk about that another time, but much like how we how you are concerned about the trans people, we're concerned about girls and women and stuff like that. So that's where our concern is coming from. Hello? Oh, you're mute again. Something's going on with your mic. I can't hear you. 1stAmender, pull the cord. Let me check on. Yeah, you're mute. I didn't hear anything you said. You're mute. You're the cord. Something happened with your mic.
Hello, hello, hello. I can see that.
Now I can hear you. Now
Yeah.
I
What
can
in the world
hear you.
happened? I didn't hear anything.
I have no idea. I have no idea. Might be Discord again. Who knows?
Ah, Jesus. Okay, well, so I do want to get back on thing, but you did say that you want to protect women and you want women to be safe, and then I said, well, but not in terms of if there's a fetus involved. I did say baby. What I want to correct is I mean fetus. But then again, that's jumping ahead. I don't want to put words in your mouth. Are you a pro-life or pro-choice?
Are we going to get into an abortion?
I can't.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Oh, you can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear. Yeah,
Okay.
we're not going to get into the abortion argument. I just want to know your position, right? Because what you had said to me is that you want, the reason why you do not want trans women in women's spaces is because you want to keep women safe. So I'm just want to be clear if whether or not that you're consistent in your worldview and that you do want to keep women safe, and we are aware that pregnancies are potentially life-threatening. Every single one of them are potentially life-threatening, and you're not really aware that they're life-threatening until they actually are. And it is usually in states where abortion is prevented, where women's lives are put into danger. So I just want to be clear, right, that are you pro-choice or pro-life?
So I have no problem answering that question. I just don't want this debate to go into that because that is not the topic.
That's fair. Me neither.
Okay, so can we go back to the trans debate then, and we could have the abortion debate again another time?
Are you pro-choice or pro-life? That's all you have to answer.
I'm pro-life.
You're pro-life. Okay, so the concept of harming women is not a thing. It's just about hating trans people.
Dude, that is ridiculous. I could make the same thing about to you. Oh, well, it's not about helping trans people. It's about hating women.
Well, but I hold a consistent worldview in that I believe women ought to have the choice. And I believe that trans women are women. And so I would want to protect all women, which means that trans women have a right to use the bathroom as they see fit. It's perfectly consistent. Yours is
No,
the inconsistent.
it's not. It's not consistent because you want to give men easier access to women's spaces. So no, it's not logically consistent.
I'm saying giving women by gender access to women's spaces.
What's going on there?
Sorry, it's a it's a phone call that I just received for the debate. After this debate, call in again, and I will bring you. I'll answer it. Okay, so I apologize for that. Sorry, go ahead.
All right. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to disagree that it's logically consistent because no, you are putting biological women and girls in danger by allowing biological men into women's spaces. So that's not logically
not true.
Yeah, it is.
That's only true under the basis of your hypothetical. I don't know why you keep extrapolating hypothetical as if you're real. Why are you a serial killer? I gave you a hypothetical where you're a serial killer. Why are you a serial killer?
And I engage with the hypothetical. I'm saying, well, if I were a serial killer, I would be one because I was a psychopath and a sociopath.
The point is not to engage with the hypothetical. The point is that hypotheticals aren't real.
Well, no, that's not exactly the point of hypotheticals. It's kind of to test your worldview to make sure you're logically consistent. But regardless, you saying that just because, well, you're just saying 0%, that it'll never happen. Well, that's just you saying that. That would be like if I said, okay, 1stAmender, just leave your front door.
No, the numbers actually show that. That's not just me saying that. That is empirically the case.
Men. That there's never been cisgender person.
My ability of using my logic is not equivalent to preventing trans women access to bathrooms in women's spaces.
What if a trans woman wanted to?
Not equivalent.
What if a trans woman wanted to rob your? Do you live in an apartment, or what if they wanted to rob your apartment?
I don't live in an apartment. I have a house.
Okay, then what if they wanted to rob your house?
I would prevent them from doing that.
How would you do that?
Yep. I would kill them if they threatened to kill me.
Okay.
Like, you understand that the aspect of them being trans is irrelevant, right?
See, the thing is, I'm not even saying
I don't just give somebody kid gloves just because they're trans. I'm saying that right now, in today's day and age, in the United States, well, I'm explaining it to you. I don't. I'm in the United States. There is a huge push against trans people, and it's often at the lack of understanding and the push of like a culture war, often that will only just bring popularity to people, as opposed to actually like abiding for what is right in the world. What it's just causing is just an intense amount of harm on a minority of people that don't deserve it. That's what I believe.
Yeah, and I don't think women and girls deserve it either.
Great. So you and I are in agreement. Trans women deserve to be treated respectfully, just like other women. I agree with you.
Okay, sure. I never disagreed with that, but that wasn't the point of that at all.
No. Yep. Only women go into women's spaces. Totally agree. That means trans women can use the bathroom.
Yeah, or if a man just wants to put on a dress and infiltrate women's spaces, that's perfectly fine too with you.
I mean, a cis man doesn't have to be a Looney Tunes character to do that. They could just do that. And then in which case we put them in a box.
So
I agree with you.
You keep saying lunatic, not lunatic, Looney Tunes character as if that's unbelievable. Never happened.
Yeah, it doesn't. It really doesn't. It's totally made up by the right. Yeah.
Totally made up?
Yep.
All right. I'm going to have to find cases, but what's it called? But has your house
ever... Are you going to find a single case out of 300? Hold on. Are you going to find a single case out of 300 million people and see it happen?
Yeah, because you're saying it never because your arguments never happened. So even if I do find one,
yeah, I mean, statistically speaking, it doesn't.
Okay,
It doesn't, because statistically speaking, it really doesn't happen. I'm sure out of 300 million people, there is like a single freak scenario that causes something bad to happen, in which I agree with you, put them in a box. That person should not be in society. That doesn't mean all trans people shouldn't access. Like, what if, for example, that I extended that to say, white people can't go to any crowded areas anymore. They're not allowed because majority of white people commit violent crimes, usually like in hordes of people. And so we don't want any of these white people to go AWOL accidentally. And so we should prevent all white people from going into public spaces where there's a lot of crowds.
well, that
Wouldn't
would
that be silly? That's a silly argument, right?
yeah, that would be silly.
Yeah. Because like what? The probability of a white person actually doing that is, well, it's pretty low, right?
Sure. So how many times has your house
So
been?
why is that different for trans people?
How many times has your house been burglarized or robbed or whatever? Like, how many times has someone broke into your house?
I'm not answering that. I am not answering that question.
Okay, just okay.
I don't
Why?
think it's number one, it's a little bit personal. Number two, it's irrelevant. Is there any way that you can make it less personal?
Yes. Okay. Okay, I'll make it less personal. I'll just go with okay, a person lives at a house, they've been living there for, I don't know, 10 years, and no one's broken into their house, right? There's been no incidents whatsoever. Would it be advisable then that they should leave their door wide open, never lock it?
No, again, you keep bringing this up and you're not engaging with what I had said prior. There is nothing impeding you from living your life by me locking my own door.
Well, what if the person
Right?
like
But there
really,
is something impeded. There is someone being impeded if they can't use their bathroom.
well, you've already said that if it's a cisgender man pretends to be a woman, goes in a woman's space and does something, put him in a box. Okay. So, what if the person?
Yeah, I mean, if they commit sexual assault, yeah, you put them in a box.
Okay,
Completely agree. Yeah.
Okay, so what if the person really just likes robbing houses, or what if they just really need the money, so they just want to rob houses, make their money that way? You wouldn't be impeding on their life, their lives.
No, because you're harming other people by doing that. You put them in a box.
What if they don't harm anybody? What if they just steal the stuff? No one gets hurt. They just steal it.
Put them in a box. I'm very strange in this way, where I, like, among other leftists, like I place a great deal of I guess honor. I don't know honor if this is the right word. I put a great deal of emphasis on the execution of private property rights being exercised. I think it's extremely important to that, and it's like very foundational to the existence of like modern Western society. And I think if you like take away basic property rights, a lot of things go way out the window. And I very much am not in favor of that. Like, I was even against what was happening with the George Floyd riots, believe it or not. Like, I did not like seeing businesses getting their stuff looted. I was really upset by that.
Okay.
Isn't stealing by definition a crime that harms other people?
Yes. I think those people go in a box. Like,
so
just because George
that...
Floyd got murdered doesn't mean, like, I remember the.
Oh, no.
Okay.
I was addressing like Kewl's hypothetical, because in the hypothetical, you just said they're just like stealing; they're not harming anybody.
I don't want to.
Stealing is by definition that.
I don't want to 2v1 him. So we'll just continue a bit longer, and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Sorry. I was just like, curious to see.
Well, obviously, yeah, stealing is wrong.
Let me ask you this, Cool.
Mm-hmm.
What bathroom should I go to?
The man. Well, you're a man, right? Biological man. Are you a biological man?
Am I?
I'm asking you. Are you?
Am I don't know.
You don't know if you're a biological man or not?
Why don't you tell me? Why don't you help me?
Why would I do that? That doesn't make any sense. You have to tell me, unless like.
Well, I'm saying, like, I mean, there's got to be like some sort of arbitration here. We don't want to accidentally abuse anybody, right? So we got to make sure we get this right.
Well, I'm asking you, are you a biological man? Do you not know if you're a biological man or not?
I'm not telling you.
Okay, I guess
don't
we
know.
can
I mean, you just
go
seem
further
like
in
that
this
you would
then.
know. I mean,
I guess we can't
you
go
seem to be-
further than on this then. So there's that.
all right. All right. I'm just going to tell you, I'm not a biological man. No.
Oh, you're not? Okay.
Which bathroom do I go to?
So then you're a biological woman?
Yeah.
Okay, then you should go in the women's bathroom.
Are you saying that it comes down to what I tell you?
Well, I can't check. And you're asking me a question.
So wait, we have the same position.
What position?
It comes down to what they say.
Okay. Well, what's it called? So you asked me. So you asked me. You asked me which bathroom should I use? Okay.
Oh my God,
He's spurging out, guys. All right.
Oh
he's
my God.
he's
I didn't
spurging
even
out.
mean to do that, but that happened. That's hilarious. Come on, that's funny. All right. So earlier in this argument, and I'd love to clip it really because it's an incredible position. You said, well, so it just comes down to what people say, and I say, yeah. And then when I drill down to what you would determine what bathroom that they use, it also comes down to what people say. All I had to tell you was that I'm born a biological woman, and all of a sudden I have full access in your mind to the women's spaces.
Well, that goes with your freaking argument, though. That proves that it's the whole thing is ridiculous.
Well, I asked you what bathroom I should go to. It wasn't even an argument.
Because
All I said was, what bathroom should I go to?
Because now under your worldview, all you have to say is, "Yep, I'm a woman," and then there you go. You could gain access to women's spaces.
In my worldview,
I guess you're right.
In my worldview, I don't need to question a single individual. All I do is I just let people use the bathroom that they need, and then that's it. That's the system I operate on.
Okay, so yeah, if someone that looked like you walked into the women's restroom, you would just, okay, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to let them use that restroom.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, kinda.
First of all, I wouldn't even be in the women's restroom, but assuming that I was a woman,
didn't you just say you used the women's restroom earlier?
I saw a man walk in. I mean, I'm just using the restroom and I'm leaving.
Didn't you just say you used the women's restroom earlier?
Yeah, because it was the men's was occupied, and
I guess if any woman saw you and
said you can use the women's.
Yeah, sure. So, and if a woman just saw you in there, I'm like, oh my God, what are you doing here? I guess in order to just get out, you could just like, no, I'm a woman. I'm a biological woman. And then they would be like, oh, okay.
No, I would just say, sorry, the men's restroom was in use. I didn't realize that this place was in use. My bad.
Okay. So you know
what I would do.
Yeah, you're right. I guess we don't have to do the Looney Tunes example of wearing a dress. Now, I could just walk into the women's restroom. Like, let's say if I was a creep, right? And if I wanted to just go into the women's restroom, I could just be like, no, guys, I'm a woman. I'm a biological woman. Yeah, I know I look like this, but I was born a woman. I'm biological, so this is my bathroom.
Yeah, I mean, that's also true in your mind. Because if I can just say I'm a biological woman, then I can use the bathroom by your lights. That is insanely hilarious.
But see, this whole like now everything is just topsy-turvy now because of this ideology, because of this whole belief. Like, yeah, just let them use whatever bathroom that they want.
Because you will not move. Yeah, I'm saying that it's topsy-turvy because you will not move on an otherwise completely reasonable position. My position is a lot more reasonable than you give it credit for. And while it requires you to take all of these bizarre twists and turns, mine is very simple. And I don't even have to educate a single person to act in this way. But for whatever reason, you've got to go out of your way to do it.
Well, because
So I'm lost. It doesn't make any sense to me.
well, of course it doesn't make sense to you. Nothing makes sense to you. If it doesn't agree with your worldview, it just doesn't make sense. You can't grant, like, even when I said, oh, well, we're concerned about women, like in your head, you can't fathom that because, oh, if I'm pro-life, well, that must mean I hate women.
Well, because because you don't.
And
you don't. I mean, even because there's plenty of instances of mortality being risked by having children, but you're perfectly pro-life, as in it should be up to a politician, 100 to 1,000 miles. So obviously, it really just comes down to I don't know if like you just like controlling people, or I don't really know what I think what it is. It like
okay,
if I can just be honest with you.
Okay.
I think what it is that there's a lot of people with trans people. They're just genuinely it freaks them out.
Oh,
That there are that trans people exist.
Oh, shit.
It makes them go, ew, icky, and then that's it. That's the entire basis behind it. And there's lots of people where the initial knee-jerk reaction is that. Yes.
Okay, so I appreciate the armchair therapy right there, like, diagnosing me, but I know that's
none of that was therapy. I was just saying what I think it is for a lot of anti-trans people.
I understand that's what you think because
it has nothing to do with protecting women.
Yeah, I understand that's what you think because that's what you have it in your head. You have this bigotry against like right wingers and stuff. So you think we're just all hateful people. So you can't fathom that we actually
I didn't say right wingers are hateful people. I said it's really common.
I know you didn't. Well, you said that before. You said you do hate right wingers and stuff, but regardless, I think you're coming from it as a.
It is true. I do have a video that says I hate Republicans.
Yeah,
that is fair. In reality, like obviously, like I'm sure that there are right wingers that I can get along with. I don't like the part where they start, wanting to legislate or subjugate people that has actually caused no harm. I'm not looking at trans people largely have not caused any harm to anybody. It's just people's outrage.
No, they have caused harm. Like to say that they've not caused harm, that's ridiculous.
What harm have they caused?
Well, first of all, they're beating women at women's sports. I mean, that's not fair.
Really?
Yeah. What about that one girl that got her?
They had been largely banned out of sports.
Well, because they were in the sports, dominating
girl that
them.
Sustained it. You mean that girl? Do you mean that girl that sustained injuries that's really typical of her sport?
What sport are you talking about?
Yes, that did happen.
Yeah, but do you think that largely
it was a boxing match?
Oh, I was talking about a volleyball game.
Yeah, the person got like a messed up eye, and
brain
it turns
damage.
out that like when they found out that that's actually a very, very common injury in that sport.
And they also got brain damage too. I'm not sure how common that is. But I'm sure it doesn't help when the person's
I'm saying like
much
that can
stronger.
happen with or without trans women. And then also like this doesn't even take into account the existence of biological women that naturally have a lot of testosterone. Those exist too.
Okay.
Man, that's a brain breaker right there, man. When you find out about people like Emain Kewl and Caster Semenya, that's a brain breaker. Because it's like you have people who are biological women, and they operate just like other men, and they crush. They absolutely crush.
Hello. Okay, sorry. Okay, so pretty much. So then, do you think there should be no division when men and women's sports at all? They should just all play together.
No.
Well, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense.
Well, it does because I believe that trans women are women, and
I believe
so by that virtue.
Do you think he makes any sense?
Understanding that they are women, and I also believe
I don't think I'm going to get through to him. Honestly,
compete, including trans women. The question is what sport do I put them in? Typically speaking,
I think
in the particular sport
quit soon.
Initially,
it's just all denial.
Kind of on the side of a lot of right wingers, where I was thinking about specifically
It's just
the
like, whoa, no, it is consistent. Oh, it's Looney Tunes.
the natural advantage that men have over.
He just likes to hear himself
Though,
talk.
as I kept thinking about it, I
He
realized
doesn't even know I'm not even there anymore.
that's kind
he
of
doesn't even know I'm just talking to you guys now.
Is just natural advantages.
He is too far gone. He's too indoctrinated
based off of like genetic as well as
I
skill.
thought maybe I could try to reason with them, but
to me, I'm like sitting there thinking, wait a minute, hold on. So let's break that
he
down.
totally is just looping.
If there is, say, like a person who's just like a genetic anomaly, typically
he's still
in
talking.
Sports, if somebody is
he doesn't even know I'm even listening anymore.
For being a genetic anomaly,
he's still talking.
Typically, like hate on that or say like that's unfair, that shouldn't happen. We typically celebrate it. Actually, I mean, we do it. all
As soon
time.
as he's done, I'm just going to be like,
yeah,
you know what, man?
Usain Bolt or Shaq.
We're not going to.
These are
agree.
individuals
We're going to
that they
disagree.
have a ridiculous advantage over people. And because they have this ridiculous advantage,
I will ask
over
him
people,
that though.
And it's and let's face it, it's a natural genetic advantage over people. Yet for whatever reason, we let them compete. Is it fair that they compete? Hell no. No, it's not fair at all. Have you seen the size of Shaq? Have you seen that guy drink a water bottle? It's the biggest.
Oh yeah,
I've ever seen. It's insane. Anyway, do you understand where I'm coming in?
Oh yeah, sure. 1stAmender. So listen, I think we're just gonna have to agree to disagree. I don't think there's gonna be any reasoning here. You know, you have the way that you think, I got the way that I think. So I think I'm just gonna end it here.
All right. Good talk.
Good talk. But before I go though, what color crystal do you want?
Color crystal?
Yeah.
What is that?
Just what kind of color crystal do you want? Just any color. Just pick a color.
Why? Are you going to give me a gift?
No, I just want to know what
is that?
What color crystal do you want?
Is this some sort of weird I don't really understand. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, it's fine. You know what?
What is the context of that question?
It's all good, 1stAmender. Just don't worry about it. Good talking with you. I hope you have a good one, man. Hopefully we could do this soon. Maybe we could do it again over the abortion topic. And yeah, there you go.
Okay. Was this supposed to be like a symbolism thing?
Sure. Symbolism.
No, I want to know what it means.
Just forget I said anything. It's just an inside joke. All right. Just don't bother.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
Well, bring me in on it. I want to.
It's all good.
I want to hear it.
It's all good, 1stAmender. You have a good one. All right.
Why are you being so secretive about it?
Gee, I don't know. I just don't know. But all right. I'll talk to you later, man.
All right. Good talk.
Yeah, I really I really fucked myself up there. So hold on, let me get rid of this. You know, actually, I should probably ask. That's a good question. What is the crystal joke come from? I've heard that a lot, like in the Crucible chat. What is it with the crystal, guys? You know, I'm not really caught up to date. I've seen that scene a lot, but if someone were to explain to me the joke, I'd be like, I don't know. Shit's funny. I see it. Well, thank you for the Dono chats, man. James Bradley, a little Dono for Vic the man. Thank you very much, James. Let's see. Trump comment, we put them in the crystals. All right. I get it. Here, and then let me see. Ticky Tack. I guess I'll have to start the grift train. Thank you very much, Ticky Tack. Yes, in the crystal, 1stAmender goes. He probably would have chosen a pink one, you know. He being a pink guy. You know, there's one thing I fucked up with that in that debate, and this was my fuck up. I should have had more examples of trans, not even trans people, just people who pretend to be trans to infiltrate women's spaces. I should have had those up and ready to go, because that's where I fucked up. Because I even started looking real quick, but when you're in the middle of the debate, it's hard to look up. So that's where I fucked up. If I would have actually had examples, like receipts of like, sorry. If I would have had like receipts, then I could have really nailed it in. But since I actually didn't have, other than just me claiming, well, they do it all the time, I really couldn't nail him down. And that gave him that whole, no, it doesn't happen. 0%. It doesn't happen. It's like, dude, come on. But yeah, man, there's no reason. And I already called out, like I know he in his brain, he hates right wingers. He hates right wingers. And so he can't fathom that we really actually have a concern about women and women's spaces and stuff like that. He just thinks we just want to control women. That's also why he thinks that like we're pro-life, because we just want to control women. You know, so the dude is too far gone. He is too lost. And it would suck because he would just start prattling on and on. And when he would do that, and I realized it wasn't really an argument to my point at all, I would just check in to see what you guys were saying real quick. And because, I mean, man, that dude just could monologue and go on and on. Oh, my boy. The thing that sucks about these debates, it kind of gets your adrenaline going a little bit. Like I feel it right here in my heart. So I got to like chill out a little bit. Yeah. And then also too, he's like, well, I consider trans women, therefore women's spaces. And it's like, oh God, it doesn't work that way, dude. You can't just be like, well, they're women and therefore. Let me see. Let me go to media assets. Chill out music. So what'd you guys think of the debate? This is my third debate ever. Third conversation I think I'm getting a little bit better, but you know, I'm still like you got him to admit men wearing costumes be women. That was a good gotcha. Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. Men wearing dresses is a costume now. Interesting. Didn't Trump outlaw the use of pronouns in ID anyway? Yep. He outlawed that shit. The thing is, like, this dude, he doesn't have any like daughters or anything like that, at least as far as I know. He doesn't have any daughters. He doesn't, you know what I mean? Like I recalled an incident, like I forgot. See, that's the thing. Like I should have had this prepared. There was that girl in her school that was like essayed, like raped by a boy who like identified as trans. Like he would just wear a dress and like he was like raping this girl. And I think he did it to like 2 different girls. I might be wrong on that. But so it's like, no, for him to say it's 0%. It's like, it's stupid. That would be like if I said, well, what percentage is there someone's going to break into your house? Oh, you think it's 0%? Okay, well then leave your door wide open. You wouldn't do that. And what I was getting there logically was it's like you lock your door to keep yourself safe. Well, it's the same thing. We don't want men, biological men dressed like women, going to where they have access to women and young girls. Why make it easier for them? Like you're pretty much Trojan horsing that. And the best he could do is it doesn't happen. So that was, I think, my main fuck up was just I should have had receipts. Yeah, they moved him to a different school and he did the same thing. Yeah, like he did it to like 2 different girls. And it wasn't just like one-time things. It was like repeated. He kind of got you on the locked door argument as you're not taking anyone's rights, but exercising your own. Yes, but then he said without impeding on someone's life, like in stopping someone from living their life. So that's why I brought up, well, if someone just wants to steal or earn money, like steal stuff to get money, well, you're impeding on his lifestyle, wouldn't you think? So that's where I was able to turn that around. Once he brought up you're impeding on their life, like in their lifestyle, then I was able to be like, okay, well, with that logic then. So to verify if the guy is bullshitting about his gender, we can look at his ID. Why facilitate men's access to women's bathrooms? First offender is a crazy lunatic. Yeah. And he thought he got me with the whole like, oh, so we just have to take people's word for it? And I'm like, oh, okay, well then this is the situation you created. I could just go in there looking like myself and be like, no, guys, I'm actually a biological woman. Trust me, got nothing down there. So let me right in. You know, and you're supposed to just take their word for it. Like either way, they're creating a topsy-turvy world where it's like, we don't know who's going into the restrooms now. And he just kept saying, oh, it's a Looney Tunes scenario. Like he kept trying to paint it as like a crazy scenario. Oh man. And then the last thing was when he thought he got me or whatever. And he was like, I'm going to clip that. Like that's all these lefties know how to do. Clip the part where like the only part where they look decent or to make the other person look bad. Because they have no arguments. Like I was listening to, Andrew Wilson earlier. And he was saying that's what Oliver did because Oliver's trying to paint Andrew Wilson out that he was advocating for SA and stuff. And he said that's what these lefties do. They're clip chimps because they have no valid arguments. If you had valid arguments, you wouldn't need to do that. Like, I'm just going to put up the whole debate. I'm not going to clip shit. I'm just going to put it all up. But he's probably going to take the one part where he kind of got me. And he's going to be like, see, look at this stupid right-winger. No dick and balls here. Yeah, just go in there and be like, no, trust me, guys, I'm a female. No dick and balls here. Nothing down there whatsoever. So let me right on in. Tons of male rapists posing as trans news articles. Schools and prisons are a few. Oh, prisons! Oh, that's what I should have brought up. The prisons! That's where I have to improve in. I have to actually bring the receipts. They are bad faith. All they can do is try and frame you in a bad light. Yep. You did all right, by the way. You stood your ground pretty well in this debate. Not one step back, friend. Thank you very much, Ken. And the clips are based. Yes. Yes, sir. 1stAmender. Let's see. 1stAmender was projecting when he said you were topsy-turvy. Yeah. He's painting like I'm the weird one. That I think that, if you just allow men in dresses to go into their women's restroom, like that's not going to be an issue. Like, oh yeah, I'm the weird one. All because he said it was weird. Because he said it was Looney Tunes. I must have missed that. Yeah, they love clipping out of context. Yep. A man sitting down to pee to try and be a woman. Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. Hey man, you're getting better. Not one step back. Their clipping only gives you attention when people see and think, I wonder what he actually said. Yep. I will admit though, when he started laughing, he got up and he was like, well, wait a minute. I gotta admit, I got a little worried there. I was like, oh shit. But then I was like, I thought about it and I was like, no, wait a minute though. But then I could just go in as myself, just say I'm biological female and you should just let me in. See? Aha. So I was like, yes. Score 1 for me.